basically, this blackfishing situation was there were some people modeling Beyonce clothes or with a clothing line Beyonce owns called what is it called? Somebody remind me what it's Ivy Park or something like that. And basically, she had. I'm just gonna share my screen and show you the little clip. And the thing is, the reason I found this really fascinating is because people were offended because they had these white girls literally in blackface, literally where they had darkened their skin and they put urban clothes on them and made them look like black women. And a lot of black women got very offended because they said, why did you get white girls and paint their faces dark when you could have just hired a black woman to do this job? And one of the key points that I was making, I was talking to my fiance about that today, as I said, people don't understand that when you let somebody take your culture like that, they're stealing from you. They're stealing wealth because your wealth is in your culture, right? And so
Right.
I'll show you the clip, Dr. Anderson. I'd like to get your insights on this because I was actually thinking about this morning. This is on my Instagram, so I'm gonna play the little video, and you can just kind of get a gist of the conversation.
Team facing some backlash online for posting two models who people are accusing of blackfishing. Now, Beyonce has a sportswear called Ivy Park, and on the Ivy Park Instagram page, they post different people modeling their clothes. And they made this one post in particular of two white women who people are claiming are blackfishing. And a lot of people in the comment section were calling this out. One commenter said, "Why would you post this?" Another said, "I'm gonna need y'all to delete this." Someone else said, "Oh no, what is you doing, baby?" Another person said, "What is this? Y'all support blackfishing now?" This commenter said, "It took me so long to love my natural curls because growing up, everyone used to always tell me straight hair is beautiful and curly isn't. Now all these models and influencers wish to have curly hair because we're finally loving ourselves naturally. I cannot." This person said, "This must have flew under the radar somehow because it really isn't adding up. How big is the team? Are there black people on the team? Who is in charge of casting?" Someone else said, "Y'all, whoever posted this getting fired." Other commenters said, this is blackface, basically super disappointed. You can't wear our culture and then attack and disrespect the people of said culture. It's simple math, really." So that was just some of the comments I read, but literally there were thousands of comments under this post, and a lot of people were not happy that Ivy Park posted these two women. Now, from my understanding, these women are Russian. They're white Russian women, and apparently they've been getting some opportunities to model different clothing based off of their ethnic looking appearance. But this is not really how they look. If you look at the before and after pictures, you can see that these two models are presenting themselves as women of another race. One of the models, named Alina, looks completely different than what she used to look like. And when people called her out on her obvious blackfishing, she got really indignant. And there's a post that she made on Instagram, which I had to translate. I'm not going to read too much of it, but she said this: "Come on, guys. In the world, there are not only black and white, there are also Southern girls with gypsy and Caucasian roots. And yes, we are darker than most Russians. Why don't I feel that wild disrespect and discrimination when you wear wigs that are made of white women and Asian women's hair, or when you use things in your life that non-African Americans invented, maybe because it's nonsense and absurd. It seems like they only want to fight." The other model, Anastasia, also wrote a long statement on Instagram, and I'm only going to read.
So you got the gist of it, Dr. Anderson, right?
Yeah, right. I got it.
What really got me was this image right here. I mean, you could clearly see this is a white woman, and she darkens her skin, curls up her hair to appear like a black woman, and so people were offended just from from the stealing of the style and all that. But I actually said this is deeper than just somebody wearing trying to look like you. It goes into actual theft of cultural capital. You're talking about money being stolen from black people, where you're taking black culture and something that black people, have a rightful opportunity to make money from, and you're turning that into something that white people can make money from. Well, they can be black just long enough to make their money, and then they get to go back to being white. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. And the reason I bring that up is just because there was such a big conversation today. And I think that thinking on a higher level about the wealth implications of letting people come along and steal your culture, how that affects the black community, maybe in terms of the doctrinal unequal exchange and, things like that.
Well, that's an easy one to answer because that's been going on, as I said, all the way throughout the slavery period and throughout the Jim Crow segregation and up to the present time. Whites have always been using the doctrine of unequal exchange, which let me take from you and give you nothing in return. That's what happened to black music. See, whites came to this country. They didn't bring in music of any consequence. Only two kinds of music they brought. That was classical music, and some Icelandic kind of music where they just yodeling and stuff like that, singing. They didn't bring in the major dances except classic dancing and other called knocking, where they just stomping their feet and stuff. But all the music and the dancing and and all the dancing and music and has been introduced to this country for 300 some years was by blacks. And everything from the banjo and everything, blacks folks invented some of those instruments. The banjo, beating on the pans, slapping your feet, hands, everything. All the music this country has been dancing to. Jitterbug, Black history, rhythm and blues, even country and western was originally black. Folk songs were originally black. They've been taking your culture and enriching themselves for century after century. And Elvis Presley, when they came in with rhythm and blues in the 1950s, and Carl Perkins and took your music from you, or you go back, come up a little later, and you get people like what was the four guys from England, what were they called?
The Beatles.
The Beatles. See, the Beatles started picking black music up because when black folk, when their social integration came out, then people like from Motown, they left the country and hired Italians and went abroad and started selling black music overseas because whites began again and started taking away black music in this country. And you had Columbia Record Company, for instance, whites put up money through Columbia Records to go out and see how do we shut down black folk music through a process of unequal exchange. They say every black is singing on a corner, and all the music now is coming out of the black community in the 50s and 60s. And so they somebody put up, I think a little over, I don't know how much, a little less than $1 million. They said what they're going to do is go out and figure out how to take over black music. And it was a whole process where Columbia Records said in the final analysis that the way you kill off black music, take it away from them, give them nothing, and give it to whites is to find what we call transitional black singers. Find black singers who can sing and pass as transitional as singers. They have people like Ray Charles singing country and western, or they go find people like Michael Jackson and have him sing where you can't tell the difference between Michael Jackson and whites, and that created a bridge for black music to move over to whites, and whites, because from the Beatles and everything, started singing black music. The Bee Gees, which is down in Florida, the Bee Gees, they say they learned, that's how they learned, just listen to black music, started using falsetto, because falsetto was a way black men would sing, and they found that whenever a black man was happy, or whether he was sad or he was angry, he would go into a falsetto voice. Did you know that? Now I'm giving you the history of falsetto, but that's what made black folks popular, starting in the 19 well, all the way back to the black spots. What's it called? I've got to call it ink spots. Ink spots. It's ooh, 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 see, and they found out blacks were singing, bills were singing like that when they were happy or scared. They were angry. They switch to, they can have a heavy voice like this. You step on his toe, man, you get the hell off my toe. And so that's why they started singing like that. So they took over black music. And when Columbia then said we're gonna hire blacks who can sing with falsetto, and whites can sing and also have falsetto. So most of the music you find now is being sung by people that are making money, like Dylan and all those guys. All of them now is trying to sing black. They sound black. You can't tell the difference. They're exploiting your music. So your culture has been taken away from you for a long time. But in the Power number, in the Black Labor Reader, I was trying to find a page where I told blacks how to start building your industry, building your wealth on things that are particularly yours and dominated. Music, you should have been dominating all along. Black folks are going in their own communities, rebuild your own communities. And we're going to talk about this later on. And we're going to get to these. I'm going to show you all this stuff later on. I'm going to start showing you these diagrams on how you take back some of your culture. And I'm way ahead of what